Samsy. Story time with Dora. Okay, we waking up in the forest, out here parked in the middle of nowhere. The island of Dr. Moreau, part 21. What are we doing today, Samsy? We are cruising around the White Mountains. We's waking up here, just parked in the middle of nowhere. You know, it seems like the middle of nowhere, but as we get moving here, you'll be able to see that, oh, there's a guy camping right there. Oh, there's a guy camping right there. And oh, there's a guy camping right there. And yeah, it's a popular area up here in the White Mountains in the summertime because it's so hot in the valley. So we're going to get back on this little forest road. We didn't get too far in it there. It starts to get a little beat up, and little Dora only has so much ability to handle this type of thing. She's pretty low back there, as all of the vans are, even if it's just not a great a van is not a great our four-wheel drive rock crawling type of vehicle. You have to go to extraordinary lengths to make them even reasonable. Compared to a Jeep, right? I mean, forget about it. All right, so you can, I'll get rolling down in here, and we'll be able to see. And that reminds me of what I was talking about in one of the other videos. I was talking about boondocking and what that actually means. With boondocking, well, you can see the ground is pretty soft here, and there's a camper right there. Now, I was just staying for the one night, so I can just imagine what this person was thinking when they saw me come creeping in with my van, and, you know, they're parked right here. But you see now, this space here, now they managed to get in there, and they're parked there. Well, you can't say a bloody word if 6 other people come and park right there beside you. And he had a couple of dogs, and they were off running around, so they were around the van in the morning, of course, because, you know, they're very curious. This little road here was about the limit for Dora. And like all of it, you know, this little road here isn't so bad. That road over there is really good because it's, you know, fairly well used, and it's got some good rock on it. But the dip, the transition from here to there, and that's what usually takes out the RVs. It's just, you know, Ronnie could roll around that other road just as easy as Dora did, but there's just no way I can make that dip out right there. Let's go, guys. Even the sprinters won't do that one. Okay, let's get to this story finally. We don't want to get started on a sprinter thing. You know how that goes. All right, so when we left this thing off, we were kind of learning a little bit more about the relationship that Montgomery has with these beast people. And it was kind of bugging, well, it was bugging me, that's for sure. So we debated with whether we was going to keep going with this story or not. And for now, we're going to push on. We're going to push on because I know how it goes. I know how it goes. But I think it's going to be the last big H.G. Wells. We'll just go back to the short stories. They're not so intense. Okay, so, but whether he treated it well or ill, it loved nothing so much as to be near him. I say, I became habituated to the beast people, that 1,000 things that had seemed unnatural and repulsive speedily became natural and ordinary to me. I suppose everything in existence takes its color from the average hue of our surroundings. Montgomery and Moreau were too peculiar and individual to keep my general impressions of humanity well defined. I would see one of the clumsy bovine creatures who worked the launch, treading heavily through the undergrowth, and find myself trying hard to recall how he differed from the really human yokel trudging home from his mechanical labors. Or I would meet the fox bear woman's vulpine, shifty face, strangely human in its speculative cunning, and even imagine I had met it before in some city byway. All right, so we're going to get on a little bit of a bigger road here. This is a pretty slow little drive. We're just kind of poking around. One of those situations where, you know, you're out looking for all the boondocking spots, and it just kind of makes it difficult when the vehicle is stressed. It would be easier if it could handle this sort of thing a little bit easier, because at the end of the day, it makes it a lot easier if you just go to a campsite. you roll up on a nice road and you guaranteed you're in the campground and you're all safe and everything. Out here, you got to worry about fighting off the chupacabras, you know. All right, cunning and city byway. Okay, yeah. Yet every now and then, the beast would flash out upon me beyond doubt or denial. An ugly-looking man, a haunch-backed human savage to all appearance, squatting in the aperture of one of the dens, would stretch his arms and yawn, showing with startling suddenness scissor-edged incisors and saber-like canines, keen and brilliant as knives, or in some narrow pathway, glancing with a transistory daring into the eyes of some lithe, white-swathed female figure, I would suddenly see with a spasmodic revulsion that she had split-like pupils, or, glancing down, note the curving nail with which she held her shapeless wrap about her. It is a curious thing, by the by, for which I am quite unable to account, that these weird creatures, the females I mean, had, in the early days of my stay, an instinctive sense of their own repulsive clumsiness, and displayed, in consequence, a more than human regard for the decencies and decorum of external costume. Huh. Well, that's the end of the chapter, guys. That's the end of chapter, well, I guess it was chapter 15, because we's moving on to chapter 16. How the beast folk tasted blood. Oh, that doesn't sound good at all. All right, let's take a look at this drive. We just slow rolling through the forest here, and eventually I get to another bigger road, and then another bigger road, and yeah, see, oh yeah, there's so many good boondocking spots to just dip off, and yeah, you could spend a lot of time. And all right, we'll do a little bit of a thing about how it's difficult to spend a little bit of time up here in the type of vehicle that you can get up here with, unless, you know, it's a pickup truck and you're hauling your water in the back and all of that. It's not really the RV motorhome type of camping. That's just tent camping. All right, or a hammock, or sleeping in the back of a pickup truck. Either way, it's not even as convenient as the little vans. The little vans do a pretty good job. They're just very limited because of their size of their wheels, and that's basically where the problem ends. Because once the you know, the vehicle manufacturers go up in wheel size, because, you know, the vehicles are heavier, can handle more load, bigger, more work kind of thing, you know. Oh, so we parking in the shade here for a second while we get myself organized and probably drop the camera or something. All right, so we got to get going. Okay, yeah. So the little van. So you could get up here with a van, nicely equipped. Heck, you can spend a whole bunch of money and have a really nicely equipped van. But at most, you're carrying 20 gallons of water, and, you know, your wastewater at best is, see, you know, there's a guy camping over there with a cargo trailer, and he'll have some ATVs and stuff in it, and yeah, so lots of good spots, just not a lot of good rigs to do it. And there's a lot of towables that you can bring in there, but they tend to have the same problems too, is that they get so big because everybody's buying square footage instead of something else, you know. You get in there and the salesman's talking, and all of a sudden, you know, it's like, oh, well, this one's just 2 more feet, or 4 more feet, you know. That's, oh, you get all of this, and it's sooner or later it's way outside of what you were actually hoping to find, but you can afford it, so why wouldn't you? Well, because if it doesn't hit the primary purpose, it's useless. So here we go. The little van will get up here, and you can't stay very long because you just don't have enough water. Well, unless you don't shower. If you don't shower and you go to the bathroom somewhere else, like you go to a campground and you use their pit toilet or something, or you're digging a hole, or whatever the case is, again, you know, it's a little bit further away from the that nice comfortable RV experience. The little Sprinters, you know, you guys have worked on that one for years, but it's just a little light duty for this. Some of the floor plans are pretty good. Could stand to see more without slides. And you know, it seems odd that you guys will try to sell us a van for $300,000 that doesn't have a slide out, but you insist every one of those little Class C Sprinters needs a slide out, except for the most inexpensive one that's made. It's like, oh, well, oh, you don't want slides. Well, you get an Airstream trailer, or we got this nice little E350 thing right over here. Okay, I have gotten a little bit away from the story, so let's just get back to the story. We're starting a new chapter, and we's on chapter 16, where, no, how the beast folk tasted blood. Well, that just can't be good. They're not supposed to be tasting the blood. All right, but let's get to it. Let's wet the whistle a little. And this drive, well, there's just not much to talk about because we're just cruising through the forest the whole time. I eventually get on the pavement, I think. All right, how the beast folk tasted blood. But my inexperience as a writer betrays me, and I wander from the thread of my story. After I had breakfast with Montgomery, he took me across the island to see the fumarole and the source of the hot spring, into whose scalding waters I had blundered on the previous day. Both of us carried whips and loaded revolvers while going through a leafy jungle. Oh yeah, there's just some beautiful spots, and I just, you know, the van's too small and Ronnie's too big. And I would have made a deal already if there was actually something out there to actually deal on, but there just isn't. Black wheels. That's the only innovation that's been the last decade. Black wheels. While going through a leafy jungle on our road thither, we heard a rabbit squealing. We stopped and listened, but we heard no more. And presently we went on our way, and the incident dropped out of our minds. Montgomery called my attention to a certain little pink animals with long hind legs that went leaping through the undergrowth. He told me they were creatures made of the offspring of the beast people that Moreau had invented. What? He had fancied they might serve for meat, but a rabbit-like habit of devouring their young had defeated this intention. I had already encountered some of these creatures. Once, during my moonlight flight from the leopard man, and once during my pursuit by Moreau on the previous day. By chance, one hopping to avoid us, leapt into the hole caused by the uprooting of a wind-blown tree. Before it could extricate itself, we managed to catch it. It spat like a cat, scratched and kicked vigorously with its hind legs, and made an attempt to bite, but its teeth were too feeble to inflict more than a painless pinch. It seemed to me rather a pretty little creature, and as Montgomery stated that it never destroyed the turf by burrowing and was cleanly in its habits, I should imagine it might prove a convenient substitute for the common rabbit in gentlemen's parks. We also saw, on our way, the trunk of a tree, barked in long strips and splintered deeply. Montgomery called my attention to this. Not to claw bark of trees. That is the law, he said. Much some of them care for it. It was after this, I think, that we met the satyr and the ape-man. The satyr was a gleam of classical memory on the part of Moreau. His face ovine in expression, like the coarser Hebrew type, his voice a harsh bleat, his nether extremities satanic. He was gnawing the husk of a pod-like fruit as he passed us. Both of them saluted Montgomery. "Hail," said they, to the other with the whip. "There's a third with a whip now," said Montgomery. "So you'd better mind." "Was he not made?" said the ape-man. He said he was made." The satyr man looked curiously at me. "The third with the whip, he that walks weeping into the sea, has a thin white face. He has a thin, long whip," said Montgomery. "Yesterday he bled and wept," said satyr. "You never bleep?" Oh boy. Let's take a look at this road for a second here. All of a sudden all the letters and words are blurring together, so we'll give it a moment and see what happens here. Oh, here we go. "You never bleed nor weep?" The master does not bleed nor weep. "Ollendorfian Begar?" said Montgomery. "You'll bleed and weep if you don't look out. He has 5 fingers. He's a 5-man, like me," said the ape-man. "Come along, Prendick," said Montgomery, taking my arm, and I went on with him. The satyr and the ape-man stood watching us and making other remarks to each other. "He says nothing," said the satyr. "Men have voices. Yesterday he asked me of things to eat," said the ape-man. "He did not know." Then they spoke inaudible things, and I heard the satyr laughing. It was on our way back that we came upon the dead rabbit. The red body of the wretched little beast was rent to pieces. Many of the ribs were stripped white, and the backbone indisputably gnawed. At that, Montgomery stopped. "Good God," said he, stooping down and picking up some of the crushed vertebrae to examine them more closely. "Good God," he repeated. "What can this mean?" "Some carnivore of yours has remembered its old habits," I said after a pause. "This backbone has been bitten through." He stood staring, with his face white and his lips pulled askew. "I don't like this," he said slowly. "I saw something of the same kind," said I, "the first day I came here." "The devil you did! What was it?" "A rabbit, with its head twisted off." "The day you came here?" "The day I came here, in the undergrowth, at the back of the enclosure. When I went out in the evening, the head was completely wrung off." He gave a low whistle. "And what is more, I have an idea which of your brutes did the thing. It's only a suspicion, you know. Before I came on the rabbit, I saw one of your monsters drinking in the stream." "Sucking his drink?" "Yes. Not to suck your drink. That is the law. Much the brutes care for the law. Eh? When Moreau's not about?" "It was the brute who chased me." "Of course, Montgomery. It's just the way with carnivores. After a kill, they drink. It's the taste of blood, you know." "What was the brute like?" he asked. "Would you know him again?" He glanced about us. "Oh, well, I think that's almost it, guys. I think we're just going to have to just kind of just lock it off there. That's probably enough for now anyway. I'll make sure I mark it, because this is just getting... All right, but I know they're going to get their own, so... All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming along. I promise we'll get something more exciting next time. But we'll just do this here thing now. Sam, see... Oh, little hammock time. That's always good. And we'll give it over to the big old Rosie, because... there it is. We just need that little Rosie. We just need a little bit of Rosie. We'll need a whole lot of Rosie. There you go, baby.